Hey everyone, in today's video, I'll showcase you the best loadouts to defeat each boss in the new delicious last course. This video will not be a tutorial on how to beat each boss, but instead what loadout I recommend you use in hopes that it will help you overcome the boss or beat it on a harder difficulty. If you would like in-depth guides on how to beat each new boss, be sure to stick around for videos like that. Before I begin, if you are worried about spoilers, I have made sure to put the more spoiler heavy details towards the end of the video. First off, let's talk about the best loadout for Glumstone Giant. While there are a few decent loadout options, like the roundabout, the one that I find works out the best for all three phases is Convergence and Spread combo. The Convergence is the go-to weapon this fight and can hold its own on all three phases. Because of this, all the other weapons are not really required, but I find the Spread weapon helps solely to perform the shield strategy in phase 2. The shield strategy allows you to stay in one location where you can deal the most damage to the boss while defending from the attacks. This loadout can also stand up to expert mode difficulty. The next boss we have is the Snow Cult Scuffle fight. I find the best loadout for the fight is the roundabout as your primary weapon, with either Crackshot or Convergence as your secondary. The roundabout makes phase 2 and 3 much easier, allowing you to focus on dodging but maintaining a high damage output. For phase 1, I find that the Crackshot and Convergence are both equally good, and it depends on what you find tricky in the phase. While it may seem the Crackshot is better at defeating the ice droplets, the auto aiming tends to target the boss unless you are directly pointing towards the droplets. The Convergence, due to its piercing shots, clears out the droplets with ease, but forces you to have to aim towards the boss, and sometimes you just won't have the angle to get a shot. So if you struggle with clearing out the droplets, I recommend using the Convergence, but if you find hitting the bosses too hard with the Convergence, go with the Crackshot. I personally use the Convergence, but both work fine. This loadout also works on extreme difficulty. For Moonshine Mob, the roundabout is great at clearing out the first 2 phases fast and safe, but for the 3rd phase, I find that there aren't many great options. I personally use the Crackshot as my secondary weapon, but I've seen others use the Convergence throughout the whole fight and the 3rd phase. So I like to use the roundabout for the first 2 phases, but whatever works best for you in the 3rd phase is what I recommend you use as your secondary weapon. The Crackshot is slow and tedious for the 3rd phase, but if you can't land your shots with the Convergence, it is the better option. For the Howling Aces fight, I recommend using Convergence and Crackshot. I find that in the later phases, it becomes too tricky to focus on aiming, especially when the Convergence is at its best when you lock down your aim. The Chaser would also probably work well, as rarely can you get the maximum damage of the Crackshot, and it's not really necessary when you have the Convergence. I only use the Convergence during phase 1 when I can find the time to lock down and deal a lot of damage to the boss. Other people have solely used the Convergence, but I find unless you can get consistent hits, it's much more beneficial to use the Crackshot. This loadout also works on extreme difficulty. For the final boss, Chef Saltbaker, I recommend using the Chaser as your primary weapon and the roundabout as your secondary. This is one of the rare situations where I think the Chaser is more beneficial than the Crackshot, as here, there is almost no opportunity to get the maximum damage with the Crackshot, and the Chaser is more likely to hit shots. This is emphasized further in extreme difficulty mode. The crack shot will work fine, but I think you'll get more out of the chaser. For phase 2 is where you will want to use your secondary. The reason being that as you are in range to deal damage with almost any weapon, it is better to choose a higher damage weapon. I like using the roundabout as not only does it make missing less likely, but it can be used phase 3 if wanted. Finally, for the secret boss, I recommend either the chaser or crack shot. There is not much to say about the loadout for this fight. Other than these two weapons, there aren't many other choices. The twist up may seem like a good choice at first, but the spot you need to be in is just too specific, and you very likely won't be in that one spot for a while. It doesn't help that the direction you face in this fight is crucial, and with the two chaser and crackshot weapons, none of these factors affect the weapons. Alright, thank you everyone who has made it this far. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll be sure to make more Cuphead videos as soon as possible, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. And bye bye.